What's up? Welcome back to the channel. I'm gonna be doing another look at these young ninja players again today. I'm gonna look at it from the other side, the perspective of Project X, and to see why they're T side. Let me just go find the match. See why their T side, the 9-2, was so good against Project X, and what they maybe could have done. What were the flaws in the T side? What was so good? What were the main parts? What was the distinctive young ninja T side of nuke? Because nuke's not an easy place to play T side. Should in theory be a much easier place to play CT, but I don't really think any maps is T or CT sided. I think it's just if they are that way based on stats, it's because teams have not worked out how to properly manipulate the map, manipulate the CTs, and once you do, you start to get really dominant T sides. But then again, there are ways to meet that on the CT side. So I believe every map is pretty balanced, really. So yeah, this young ninja team again made up of 5 very different looking pictures. You've got to love Nilo's picture, Manon's smile, and especially Sapex. You know, Fuzi's very serious, and ZTR he looks like the smart old one of the team. But yeah, so it was their first game together yesterday. I made my first video looking back at it. 23 views. I know it's not a lot, but I'm thankful for it. It's more than I was expecting, I think, with the first video on a channel that I used years ago for Minecraft videos. Yeah, I'm pretty happy, and I want to try and make more content for this. So, unlike last time I said all this, I'm going to make sure I change my scene and move to CSGO. Alright, so, as I said before, we're going to be looking at it from Project X point of view, and looking at these 11 rounds, just to see what the ninjas do, and why it's so effective. And so seeing what the Project X boys see like what would you call, what would you expect in this position? So they immediately go for the one ramp, one outside, and the ninjas just come in with a fast inside execute. And the way I saw it, there's not much util behind it, just maybe 1 or 2 flashbangs, but it's pretty dominant. And what more could the Project X side do apart from winning their fights? I guess a bit better. There we go. No way in at all for Suggers. It's a good pistol round, but I don't know how reproducible that would be among other teams, especially when they get to better teams. Just walking in dry, essentially, and hoping they win all the fights. But I guess if they've practiced it, they're very good on the angles. Maybe you can rely on that. There you go. So it's pretty understandable they're going to force in, and they've gone into 2 ramp, 2, and this 2A and 1 outside. And I don't know how Sensei's missed everything, but he has. And somehow four of them have crossed into garage. So yeah, this is pretty interesting to cross completely dry. And you can see, because of how dry it was, they have no idea. Sensei's got no clue, he's lying on the floor dead. And so they're forced into a 2-2, and they have no info. Since they know they were outside, they could go B. They've now got ramp control, which basically means they have all the access into B, apart from Vent, but Vent's such a horrible place to rotate down. So yeah, they're forced to push lobby, they're forced to do something. That's when they get killed, and after that they just can't win any fights. And the 2B guys come up. Just the lack of info has really killed them. That cool was slow to come out, he's on silo. Just been spammed through, and yeah, let's get through this save. Come on. Let's go die, Suggers. Alright, okay. So I'm just gonna skip through the full eco actually. Come on. So again, they cross dry in this round. Definitely a dodgy thing to do against pistols. I've seen some teams hit all 5 up in this area on eco rounds. So maybe you don't want to cross dry. Maybe it's definitely an easier way to lose a round. And I think since they had a scout that round and he shot one of them through the box, just because there was no flashbangs or smokes, it was just very easy for him to do. So now they've been completely shut off outside, which means that one of them has to go down, and I think it's Psycho that always goes down. Yeah, so he's forced to rotate, which means that the A site is weaker, and you got this double A setup playing around the silo. Lining up smokes. And this setup in A isn't that strong really. And while they've pushed hard, they have no control over site. And they've just lost both their A players like that. So really the ninjas should just go in and take A now that if they've done their homework well enough, they should know. And the sensei's already rotated in to fill this gap. It's just one person. So it's interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see. So look at this limbo that Surgus is in. He's got no info on outside, and that's because of how well ninjas have manipulated it in the first few rounds. And now he's just stuck between a rock and a hard place. And the round that really should have been much closer because of how little info Project X had, and because of how much space the ninjas have taken. It's just impossible. And look at that spam through the wall. No way in at all. So that map controllers seem to work really well for the ninjas. It's stifling for the Project X boys, who means they have to constantly turn their backs, constantly have to be worried of a completely unannounced push, no util saying it's coming in, no flashbangs for somebody to peek outside just happening. Where was that? I'm not very good at using these all like observer buttons yet. Keep clicking on the wrong team. But yeah, I want to focus on making sure that I see Project X point of view. And so, since this is an eco round, although this is the round where he gets to scout out, yeah, that's shouldn't really be crossing dry. They know they have limited funds, no flashbangs, no smokes, just going out and offering his life up. And obviously, it's a very nice shot from Sensei even to capitalize on that, but it loses them the man advantage, or it gives them a man disadvantage. Sorry, I should say. And let's see what it's like. So now they've moved into double ramp setup. Obviously, it's just pistols, so ninjas should win it. But deagles can be very scary in these pro player hands. And then Toxic's made a play into Squeaky. Sorry. They just seem to keep finishing on A without, like, there isn't a lot of complexity for this. It's just simple looking for picks, but I guess that's what they need to do on this anti-eco to make sure they don't give it away, and they've probably practiced making sure that they don't feed or throw these rounds away, which they're so important. And as I say that, they begin to hop off site, get curious, think he's saving, and here he comes. Luckily, the unarmored AK is really no match for ZTI, who's having a very good game. Alright, so let's just get through this. So a lot of the stuff they've been doing is quite dry for the ninjas. Outside, they've started to use smokes in the later rounds of this half, but it's their map control that is quite suffocating. And because of that, Project X have to keep being worried, and it means they can't ever put a stack in the right place. They'll mostly ever 2A, and that just isn't really enough for them, clearly. It's a spam fight between Fuzi and Sergis. Both come off equally bad, really. And then this round, in order to hold some map control, the Projects have decided to push up, and Psycho's making this play close to around, which close to silo even, which they don't seem to be aware of. Maybe, but I mean, it's one of the only things they could have done that might have got them around to see this, to try and restrict how much area young ninjas can take, and hopefully they can stack in the right places, hold the control. So in the man disadvantage, Toxic's making a play. Ninjas aren't really watching for this, even though it's kind of a decently obvious play, and he gets rewarded for it, but it's traded, and it's CTR, of course, left in this 1v3, 1v4, and then he's just taking off jumping people's bodies, shooting them down. But since that was Psycho, I mean, at least for Project X, they can hope that he's not expecting a second guy outside. But of course, he is. So, I mean, obviously you can't doubt him for losing a 1v4, but especially when he doesn't know where Sensei is. Sensei's been everywhere in this game. Outside, A, ramp, so it could really be rotating in from anywhere, so he has to choose one direction to go off. Could have stayed on the site, I guess. Maybe that's slightly safer, but I wanted to play around a bit more. That's fair enough. 12-9, one of the only rounds that Project X get in this half. And it's just felt quite one-sided. Even that round, no economy's been built off of it. If they lose this, which they do, straight into a eco, so Young Ninja's been very good at punishing the economy. Needed to hit that for Sensei even. And now it's a bit more announced outside. Some smoke's coming down. Flashes trying to fight it a bit more. That's got to be a miss smoke, surely. Not with a huge gap on the right. But yeah, look how scared this team are now being forced to play. Where's the outside guys? They're now... Well, as I say that, he's taken back some control, but they're forcing them to play quite passive. All the info stuff hasn't resulted in rounds for them. This dry A hit on the 22nd round. Look how many flashbangs they still have on the left. They have loads. Could have gone in with loads of util. Didn't, and look how effective it was. So these explosions are working pretty well for the Young Ninjas, especially against this team. Maybe they wouldn't work against another better prepared, more awake on the site team. But they shouldn't be allowed to walk in completely dry and win all the Angels, but they have been. Maybe 3 rounds this half. Pissed around one of the other rounds in this one. And that gives them the 13th round. One for an AK. Yeah. Ninjas are set for money. They have quite a lot, enough to last them at least another 2 rounds. If they lost them both. But then, where did Sensei die? Again, it's so dry outside, even though they're just against pistols. Double ramp. Those Project X guys have no info now on outside, so they've been forced to fight for something else. Let's see if they can make anything happen. It's a nice kill from Toxic, but it's just one with the PT50. And then Psycho probably should and could win this, but because of the low HP. Look how much I'm surprised they haven't used that util actually. There we go. It's gone off now. But that's the only way they could have won or guaranteed that round, that boost. Psycho, he's got so many areas to clear, but he knows they're both 1 bullet each, or very low at least. So they decide to take the fight to him in a way that he's not expecting. That's beautifully played from the Young Ninjas in the 2v1. What's his pin? I see. Operation from ages ago. Psycho's got a player down B. I was not paying attention to that. I'm on the wrong team. Okay, here we go. So look at this. Look at this angle. Playing from hell. Nothing else on outside has worked. They've lost it every time. Pretty much they fought for it unless they fought deep and committed 2 or 3 players to fighting it. And so team's pretty weak really. They have the advantage against Ninjas and the man advantage at the moment, but let's see what they can, or if they can fight this. So they seem to have a decent read on this. They've recognised that maybe they're coming ramp and double AWPs both ring off at once. Can anything really be done? There's this fight coming in. So he's got one, but he should be traded, and he is. It's probably not a lot. So here the double AWP seem to act as a solution, and it's a good way to fight against how dry the Ninjas have been with their pushes. Look at this, barely even challenging outside now. I still want to, but look how they're trying to fight it with 2. These smokes come down for one of the first times in the half. Every time they've thrown these outside smokes or something that's blocked off the vision for Project X so far, the Young Ninjas have always gone A. So they have the protocol where Psycho goes downstairs, which happens every time they could be B, but because they've gone A every time, they're probably not that worried about it. The only time they ended up B was in ZTR's 1v4 attempt. So Psycho probably feels pretty comfortable to take his time, find a nice spot. It's just a lack of info. Sensei has nothing. He's spotting an angle where they crossed years ago. Psycho is now suddenly realizing that they're on B and they've already planted by the time. Because of this extensive map control that they've shown them that they're holding. They feel, well, they've made Project X feel that it's a winnable round. Now in the 4v3 they're going to attempt to retake, even though they shouldn't, because the timer of the bomb and how established they are already, and it's just a very poor idea for them. So the map control of nuke for Young Ninjas has seemed to be exceptional, and because of that, it's made Project X CT side really turn to like a tortoise, all shelled up, and at least Sensei is recognizing that they need to fight. But one missed shot, nice jiggle from ZZTR, probably is. Maybe it isn't. Seems to be Sapek, number 1. But they've already they have no info on outside now, apart from this. But at least they're trying to regain it. I mean, for them. But in fighting for this so heavily, because it's not part of their normal strategy, they've lost so many other parts. And they have cleared out Sapek, but excellent trading map control from Young Ninjas. In order to gain this control, they've had to projects have had to give up ramp. So here they've come down, and Psycho doesn't really seem aware that they're coming from ramp until suddenly the smoke starts to come in, and then he's realizes how sandwiched he is. But where is he supposed to go? He's stuck. All of his teammates are nowhere near. They've got 2 of them coming in secret now. They're gonna have to slow down because of the positioning that Young Ninjas had in the last round was so pushed up that now Project X tried to retake. They're gonna have to clear everything close, and that's gonna slow them down. And maybe that's an extra 5-10 seconds that stops them from being on time to defuse the bomb. And it is. Like, they win some of them and trades out evenly, and because he can't get that instant kill, he's now just playing with him, and it's a lost game. GG's. So back to look at these teams. Although they did lose the series, admittedly very close to overtime games, another really nice comeback in Vertigo. Sad for them that they couldn't quite win that out, but you know, is what it is. And Inferno, another overtime game, a bit closer in the overtime itself. Feels bad for the ninjas the Young Ninjas that they couldn't get their first official win, but they did get their first official map, and it was on Nuke of all the maps. Not the easiest map in the pool, definitely. Not the simplest, quite complex. And their system of taking map control dry, or that's what it seemed to be a lot of the time, even though it did work, might not against some better teams, but that was their main advantage, that was their main strength. They took it well, they traded it well, and because of that, Project X felt really always outnumbered. Even when they weren't outnumbered, they couldn't feel secure because of how much control they had, and because of what the ninjas had done before, where they could be. Constant watching your back can be very detrimental for the game plan. Anyway, on this channel I plan on doing some team stuff like this. I might do it from the other side just to see what it looks like, again, like I've done now. I plan on doing some pocket strats things. I think that's what I'm going to call it. When the player break ends, I'm going to start looking at maybe just a specific round, a set strat from one of the top 10 teams in probably Blast Global Finals. See what they see, maybe why it works, if it works, and show how easy it is to implement it into your own games. Yeah, so I'm enjoying making these short clips, at least. Well, not, these aren't short clips, these are quite long, but I quite like analysing the game. I like watching the demos. There's a lot to learn even from this bottom tier of pro. And it's a really good step that these academy teams, VP, Prodigy, Astralis Talent, Academy, ROG are all coming up, and to support these scenes, Swedish scenes definitely going to benefit from this Path of a Ninja program that NIP are bringing out. Let's just have a look. Okay, of course it's Naruto. Anyway, yeah, it's gonna be definitely good to see what brings this. And in this tournament, group stage, I think it's Swiss, isn't it? Yeah, Swiss BO3. See if they can beat any of these other teams. I mean, Project X are a pretty well established team, but I mean, they're not even that far because of the round difference. It's just one game. They're still nearly top of all the losses yesterday. So it's going to be interesting to see how it works out for them. And yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. Hope they get them on the 20 views in next few weeks. Quick refresh. Let's see. Oh yes, 24. We're popular. But yeah, I'm thankful. Let's go see what this channel can become. Yeah, thank you for watching. Have a good night.